Hey everyone, the name's Shiro Brawl, or Shiro Ying. Today, I'll be trying my best to teach you how to play Puyo Puyo. PuyoPuyo is a game where you'll face your opponent, trying to outlast each other, coming up ways to disrupt each other's chain, and using much more strategies till either yourself or your opponent has no more room to produce any more Puyos. What are Puyos? Puyos are slime blobs that'll drop in pairs that'll stack on top of each other until they completely fill up column 3. They come in 5 different colors: red, blue, green, yellow, and purple. This is your board. It is 6 by 12, including a ghost row. The ghost row will not show any pieces that are placed there. They simply can't be seen. They will have no interactions with any of your colored Puyos until they drop down into your board. It can be used to catch some surprises to your opponent, so it has some strategy you can use for ghost rows. This is your helpful indicator that lets you see the next coming piece you will receive before they drop into your board. The game wants you to see what you're getting and think ahead on what you'll do with your pieces. Whenever anything, and I mean anything, that lands on this X will end the game, so do be cautious on where you're placing your pieces. Try your best to not fill yourself up with too much Puyos. Let's get into how we'll pop these Puyos. With Puyos, we can connect them by stacking the same color into them. They can only touch horizontal and vertical, never diagonally. Now, what happens when 4 or more of the same color are grouped up? Well, they'll go pop, causing our grouped up Puyos to disappear, which the game will tell us it's a one chain. Which, are you thinking what I'm thinking? If so, let's see what happens when another Puyo pops after our previous group. We get a 2 chain, being our first chain reaction, which the game is telling us that we can cause not just one, but more Puyos to pop, which is starting to give us an idea what we want to be focusing on. But is that all we can do with our Puyos though? It seems that popping multiple at the same time adds even more power than popping only 4 Puyos, which basically boosts up the power when we either pop more than 4 Puyos at the same time. Whenever a bunch of stacked Puyos cause other colored Puyos to pop, they'll create a chain reaction, making more of them pop. This is the main bread and butter you'll be mainly focusing on. The larger your chain are, the more garbage your opponent receives. These gray guys are garbage Puyos. Their purpose are to wall off your color Puyos from connecting with them. They don't even disappear when 4 or more are connected. It can be a pain in the butt. However, there is a way to get rid of them. Once a color Puyo is cleared adjacent with the garbage Puyos, they'll also disappear too. They need to be touching just how we touch color Puyos. Easy, right? Large chains give more garbage. The longer it is, they sit above your field, which is called a preview tray, which the garbage will stack up, showing icons you may not have seen before. They represent how much garbage is sitting before you place down your next piece. You'll need to clear them all by outbeating your opponent's chain in order to counterattack, and even back towards their side to give them what they truly deserve. Here are the different types of garbage you might end up seeing in your preview tray. They'll only drop 30 garbage at a time whenever there are too much. It'll only drop if you place down a piece or fail to counter. One more thing to be aware of is clearing your whole board. Now, sometimes soon the match starts, or if your chain ends up being all cleared, they can be worth going for, especially at the start. Anyways though, once you clear your whole board, you'll be rewarded, which is the next Puyo you pop will send a red rock over to your opponent's side instead of in a normal attack. This can only happen whenever you clear your board. Meaning, know what I'm thinking again? If you clear your board again, you'll gain another all clear, doing the exact same thing, sending another red rock to your opponent. It does take crazy fishing skills to get multiple all clears. Keep an eye out for that. Now we understand that Puyos take 4 or more to pop. What do we do now? We can't just mindlessly place down pieces and just pop them over and over. We need to start learning how to set up chains and see how they work. Just as I said, stacked Puyos will cause more to disappear, and changing a stacked Puyo that'll cause others to pop. I'll take you through how Puyos cause others to pop step by step. Here we have neighboring stacked Puyos. The reds are all grouped up, ready to be popped. The colored Puyos can block each other off. Reds do not match with greens, allowing the green Puyos to be sealed off. But once the red Puyos disappear, the green Puyos will fall down. Since the red Puyos are gone, the green Puyos are now grouped up, which they'll pop, allowing the blues to repeat exactly like those green Puyos. And here shows the outcome when the red Puyos are gone, cause the rest to disappear. Now, let's get into how extending works. Right here, we have a group of 4 green Puyos. We can let it pop, yes, but in order to start making our chain, we need to focus on the remaining 3 colors to prevent those greens from popping. For now, we'll use 3 red Puyos to block it off. Now, the 4 greens aren't touching. It's because of those red Puyos. They are blocking it, preventing that single green Puyo in column 1 from dropping into the other 3 green Puyos. Those green Puyos will only disappear until those red Puyos are gone, which means we have a 2 chain now. We do have to find some way to cover up those red Puyos somehow though. Column 2 and 3 are a bit exposed. Also, I do like to point out, those red Puyos are now our trigger point. A trigger point is what triggers your chain reaction, causing other Puyos to pop, one after another. So it's very important to know which is your trigger point, or even set it off. It's red for now, but once we cover it up with a different color Puyo, it will change. Always keep your trigger point open and accessible at all times. You never know when you'll need it. We can see that a yellow Puyo paired with a red Puyo is about to drop into our field, followed by 2 yellow Puyos. This will be perfect for our extension. We can stack those yellows to cover up our reds. Now, we have 2 blues, followed by a blue Puyo paired with a yellow Puyo. Are great, but there aren't any reds showing up for now. So we'll just seal up the 3 yellow Puyos in columns 4 to 6 with the next coming blue Puyos. We just need to keep in mind we'll need a red Puyo in column 4 on top of that single yellow Puyo. This will complete our link for our chain. A link is the connection that keeps our chain together. Without it, our chain will fall apart and won't even work properly. We just need to keep track of how many Puyo is required to make them pop, so that way we'll know what we need. Now, we see 2 yellow Puyos, followed by a blue Puyo paired with a yellow Puyo. Still no red Puyos showing up. Sometimes we're gonna have to keep fishing till we get what colors we'll need to make progress. However, the pieces we have aren't too bad. We can still use these for now for our extension. Perfect! A red Puyo paired with a yellow Puyo is gonna be our next piece. We can use this to complete our link and our chain with the 2 blue Puyos, which will also make our yellow Puyos our trigger point too. With this, we have our main chain ready. But always make sure to double check, even triple to make sure everything is placed properly. For now, let's take a look more about how our chain works. From here, the white line represents our possible trigger points. Sometimes there can be more than one. And the orange box shows where our 2 blue Puyos are going to drop down to. Which, once the yellow Puyos are gone, our 2 blue Puyos will match up with the 3 blue Puyos. So far, that is how we want our chain to work. It's important to see where and how your Puyos are going to drop. This will be helpful to even spot conflicts in our chain. Right now, everything seems to be in place for now. Conflicts are other Puyos that aren't part of your chain, and they can sometimes ruin your chain, making our chain less powerful. We want to avoid this at all costs. The 2 green Puyos in column 5 is the reason our chain didn't work. There are always going to be pieces you can't use or unsure what to do with them. Most players will just place their pieces on one side until the colors show up. We don't want to do that. The best you can do is plan ahead. Do not waste any pieces to the best you can and pull everything together. For example, the chain looks nearly complete. It's not nearly done. Those transparent Puyos shows what we'll need if we want to have everything together. So we want to place them there whenever we get the chance to gather those colors. You always want to keep a sharp eye out for a certain color that will make your chain a little more stable to defend yourself with. Your opponent will try tactics to disrupt your chain, and we want to make sure we don't fall into that problem. Do keep in mind your chain doesn't need to be perfect. A transition is a continuation for your chain that is built vertically whenever you reach the end of your board on either side. Your board is split into 3 floors. The transition is kind of like a stairway, how we go around to another floor. Once on our first floor has no more room, to get to the second floor, we make a transition from the first floor going into the second floor. From there, we can work on our turnaround on the second floor. This is where we talk about the turnaround. After our transition is complete, we'll need to turn around in a different direction, and we'll be building across on top of our chain we just built. This is called a turnaround. A turnaround is simply us turning the opposite direction and extending across your built chain until we reach the other end of our board. This is for us to keep extending our chain. Every chain has its turnaround. So, you'll mainly will always do this every time you reach the second floor of your board. This even goes for the third floors too. It'll always start where the transition is. You'll build across from there until you hit the very end of your board and start turning around again. That's why it's called a turnaround. You are simply turning into a different direction to continue the extension of your chain. Before we do extend across, there are pieces that are part of your chain we'll need to watch out for. If we end up connecting any of these that are in the white box, it'll ruin our chain for sure. After we finish with our transition, we want to build across, like this, to where nothing connects with our chain from below. We will need to practice extending the turnaround, because we gotta keep extending no matter what. Stairs is a 3-1 formation, and easy to pick up. Stairs hardly breaks, and is much easier to understand how to set up with, and it can help you to understand the turnaround much more. In order to start building, we'll need to focus on colors we'll need. To start stacking, at least 3 groups vertically. Always keep track of which pieces we're about to get when we're building stairs. Do try to keep the colors spread out to avoid conflicts. Once we have stacked 3 groups lined up neighborly, now we need to place the last piece for blue, yellow, purple, and green stacked Puyos. We'll need to place the last piece adjacent to those colors so we'll have a chain reaction. Once we have gotten our required amount of colored Puyos, our chain should be able to work. All that needs to be discussed is to see how they'll drop down. What's also important to notice, too, your Puyos don't necessarily need to fall in that exact row all the time. Sometimes, with other chains that are stacked like 3-1 stairs, can still work as long as they are not stacked too high. Let me show you what I mean. For 3-1 stairs, the possibility for our single blue Puyo falling and being connected with its same stacks has 3 chances, meaning no matter where it lands, it'll still connect with the 3 stacked blue Puyos, as long as it's not stacked too high. To tackle your transition with stairs, you'll very much build your transitions vertically, which are usually done for column 1 and column 6, depending on the change direction. It's always better to focus on your transition first the best you can. I think that covers the basics of what we want to know about PuyoPuyo for now. Don't worry, there is much more to learn. This is just a basic start for those who want to get into the game. If you thought this was helpful, do let me know. It really helps to encourage me to make more videos to help you all with PuyoPuyo and even more rule sets, like PuyoPuyo Tetris 2, Fever, skill battles, and much more. At this point, try and see how well you can build using stairs, and just go with your instincts. Never doubt yourself, and try to keep coming up with new ways to play the game. For now, this is goodbye. Until next time, for my next advanced leveling of chaining, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye!
11